All right, I'm going to start this video by looking at a speech that Obama gave back in 2014 regarding immigration. Um, this is on the Washington Post, as you can see at the top of the screen, and I'll leave a link for it. Here's a video of the speech, but it's 14 minutes long, so I'm just going to read some of the transcript. And the reason why I'm starting here is Trump says things regarding immigration that people say that he's racist for saying, but Obama have said some of the same things. And in fact, in all kind of different policies, as you look at Obama's presidency and Trump's presidency, there were things that Trump has done that he's been criticized for that Obama has either done or tried to do, and he was not criticized for. So, I'm just, for example, like immigration right here, we're going to take a look at some of the stuff Obama said, and you think to yourself, if Trump had said these things, would he be called racist? Or are they things that Trump have said and he was vilified as a racist for saying? So I'm going to read in the beginning, and I'm just going to highlight a few things. Hello, my fellow Americans. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about immigration. For more than 200 years, our tradition of welcoming immigrants from around the world has given us a tremendous advantage over other nations. It has kept us youthful, dynamic, and entrepreneurial. It has shaped our character as a people with limitless possibilities. People are not trapped by our past, but are able to remake ourselves as we choose. And this is a part right here I want to highlight. But today, our immigration system is broken, and everyone knows it. Families who enter our country the right way and play by the rules watch others flout the rules. Business owners who offer their wages good wage benefits see the competition exploit undocumented immigrants by paying them far less. All of us take offense to anyone who reaps the benefits of living in America without taking on the responsibilities of living in America. And undocumented immigrants who desperately want to embrace those responsibilities see little option but to remain in the shadows or risk their family being torn apart. Now, I just want to stop here and emphasize some of the stuff. Our immigration system is broken. Families who enter the country the proper way, legally, and play by the rules, watch as others flout the law. Flout the rules basically mean like they scoff at the law. They're not following the law. And Obama, 2014, Trump wasn't even president. He didn't even run. He wasn't even running. And you have Obama saying the same exact thing that the Trump and Republicans have been saying, or I should say conservatives, because it's not, they've been saying that's exactly the same thing they've been saying. It's unfair for the people who spend years trying to enter this country and become citizens the proper way, when there's people that just break the law and then they break the law, scoff at the law, and then demand certain rights and privileges. And then here's another thing that people don't talk about. Business owners who offer their wages good wage benefits see the competition exploit undocumented immigrants by paying far less. You don't hear people talk about the exploitation that happens of these illegal immigrants. They're unable to get the same kind of benefits and health care that they would be able to get if they were hired legally, quote unquote, on the table. So it's actually it's actually a detriment to them and if their boss starts basically violating various like workplace type of laws or labor laws, who can they go to? They're not documented as being an actual quote unquote worker. They're under the table. So this puts them in a terrible situation to be used and abused by others. Now he continues. All of us take offense to anyone who reaps the benefit of living in America without taking on the responsibilities of living in America. That's a perfectly common sense thing to do. It's just like anywhere you go where you've had to work to earn something. That's a perfectly human and logical way to feel. And Obama himself is saying this. Is Obama racist? Is Obama racist for saying that illegal immigrants, they disrespect our law? Because Trump says the same thing and y'all call him racist. But I'm showing you Obama saying the same exact thing, who a lot of people have high praise for. He's saying the same exact thing. So here's my thing. Even let's assume Trump is racist. Even if Trump is racist, the argument that he's using is the same argument that Obama used. Therefore, it's either a good argument or a bad argument against illegal immigration, regardless of whether he's racist or not. Either we have a problem with this or we don't. So let's continue. You know, Obama says it's been this way for decades. And for decades, we haven't done much about it. When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system. And I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. Wait a minute. Hold up. I thought securing the border was automatically a racist thing. Now, Trump have made some comments that would be highly offensive to people that you may argue are racist about Mexicans being criminals or what he, you know, I'm not going to defend it. I'm just going to say that it can be taken various ways. It was a generalized statement, but let's say that what he's saying is, let's say that his statements about Mexican immigrants is racist. Let's assume that it's racist because that's what many of y'all think. Why is Obama trying to secure the borders? Is he racist too? Again, you got to stop thinking about people's feelings and start looking at policy, because Obama is, and as you're going to see later, you're going to see the extent that he went to. But either we need to secure our borders or we don't, regardless of how racist or not racist the president is when he's trying to do it. Either it's a problem we need to fix, or it's something that should be left alone. So the policy is what matters. Is the policy here racist? Or is Obama racist for doing what he can to secure the border? And let's look at what he did. Today, now this is back in 2014. Today, we have more agents and technology deployed to secure our southern border than at any other time in our history. And over the past 6 years, illegal border crossings have been cut by more than half. So during the time of Obama's presidency, he secured the southern border more than it had ever been secured, according to him, in the entire history of the nation. Is that racist? Is that racist to do so? Not is he racist. Is that a racist thing? Or is that a national security thing? Or is that a common sense thing? Over the past 6 years, illegal border crossings have been cut down by more than half. So Obama has reduced illegal immigration from the southern border by more than half. Is he racist for doing that? You know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I mean, just think about what you're saying. You're so busy looking at the person. You're so busy thinking what you're acting with your emotion and thinking with your emotion. Think about policy. Is this a good policy or not? I might as well read the whole thing. Although this summer there was a brief spike in unaccompanied children being apprehended at our border, the number of such children is actually lower than it's been in nearly 2 years. This is another thing that you won't hear people talk about. You won't hear people talk about this, what he's just addressed. Unaccompanied children being left because the adults have died or have left them. You won't hear people talk about that when they talk about how we shouldn't try to stop the problem. There are issues. There are consequences and implications involved with illegal immigration in that manner. It's not just like you crossing the street. I saw a stat somewhere that said that 70% of the women who come here as illegal immigrants are raped along the way by the men that they're with. Like, these things have implications and it causes problems. That doesn't automatically mean that we should stop it. But at the same time, you have to be realistic and look at what the issues actually are. It's not just like, oh, well, these people want a better life, therefore that's the only thing that ever happens, or that's the only thing that matters. There are implications, there are problems, and as you can see, the whole illegal the way that the manner in which they enter this country is actually very dangerous and is detrimental to them. And then when they come here, they are in a position to be taken advantage of by greedy bosses who don't want to give them a fair wage. So what Obama is saying here is that he's saying he's done everything he can to cut down on the problem. Now, that's the same exact thing that Trump wants to do. Is that racist? You can't say it's racist when one guy says it, and then it's not racist when another guy says it, because it's literally the same exact policy. Which one is it? Overall, the number of people trying to cross our border illegally is at its lowest level since the 1970s. These are the facts. Meanwhile, I may skip some of this because he's talking about DACA and that sort of thing. But I'm going to read a lot of it because, DACA is something a little different. I want to talk about illegal immigration. DACA is a little different. Meanwhile, I worked with Congress on a comprehensive fix. And last year, 68 Democrats, Republicans, and Independents came together to pass a bipartisan bill in the Senate. It was not perfect. It was a compromise, but it reflected common sense. It would have doubled the number of Border Patrol agents while giving undocumented immigrants a pathway to citizenship. If they paid a fine, started paying their taxes, and went to the back of the line. And independent experts said that it would help grow our economy and shrink our deficits. So, he's trying to stop the problem, but also help the people who are here. He doesn't want to just deport everybody, which is a difference from Trump. So, but that I have to ask the question again. His way of dealing with the problem is to give these people a pathway to citizenship, which actually we do have now. Trump's idea is that if they're here illegally breaking the law, they should be deported. Is that automatically racist, or is that just simply another way of dealing with the problem? You may say it's cold-hearted. You may say it's uncompassionate. If you feel that way, then that's your right to feel that way. But that doesn't automatically mean racist, especially when you have the president before him, documenting and laying out it's a problem. It is a problem. So, had the House of Representatives allowed that kind of bill a simple yes or no vote, it would have passed with support from both parties, and today it will be law. But a year and a half now, Republican leaders in the House have refused to allow that simple vote. Now, I continue to believe that the best way to solve this problem is by working together to pass that kind of common sense law. But until that happens, there are actions I have the legal authority to take as president, and the same actions taken by Democratic and Republican presidents before me that will help make our immigration system more fair and just. Tonight, I'm announcing those actions. So he's saying, the way that the method that him and I guess the Democrats wanted to deal with the problem of illegal immigration, the Republicans weren't with it. They didn't, or at least in the House. So some Republicans, enough of them to stop it. And they didn't want it to handle it that way. Now, you ought to go, before you jump to conclusions on why, you ought to go and read and see why they chose not to go along with it and why they disagree with it, rather than assuming things. But bottom line is he felt strongly enough about it that he made a, he signed an executive order. But basically, okay, so look at what he's doing. First, we'll build on our progress at the border with additional resources for our law enforcement personnel so that they can stem the flow of illegal crossings and speed the return of those who cross over. Again, he said that this is the most secure our border has ever been, and we're going to continue to improve the security. So is border security a matter of race? Is it racist to do so? Second, I'll make it easier and faster for higher skilled immigrants, graduates, and entrepreneurs to stay and contribute to our economy, as so many business leaders have proposed. See, now this is the thing right here. Another part of the immigration policy that Trump wants to implement is merit-based visas. as opposed to like basically like it's like affirmative action now. It's like the worse the country is that you're coming from, the better your chance of getting into the country. So what Trump was saying is that, and this is where his whole ish whole countries comment came into play. What he was saying is, and I'm not, but what he's saying is, why do you want to keep a system that just grants people to come in who are like kind of like first what do you call it? I just said it. Oh, what's the word? Affirmative action. Like, why do you want an immigration system that focuses on basically the lesser skilled people and the poorer people? And that's when he said ish whole countries, but that's what he was referring to. He said his whole point was, why wouldn't you switch to a system that says the brightest and the smartest and the best workers get in first, because those are the ones who are going to help us, rather than just this lottery of just taking the worst, which, by nature of bringing in lesser skilled people or poor people, you're going to make the country poor and lesser skilled overall. Like, that's what you do. That's not an insult to say that they're terrible people, but even Obama is using the same language of high skilled graduates and entrepreneurs. Is he racist for saying that? No. Now you may say, well, it's different because Trump used an example of the countries or whatever. But if you look at the context, you look at the legislation that they're trying to pass, the context of those comments is, why would you want to keep doing this affirmative action thing when you could switch to something that would get more doctors and lawyers, or potential doctors and lawyers here? So that is why he said what he said. So moving on to the next part of his speech. Third, we'll take steps to deal responsibly with the millions of undocumented immigrants who already had lived in our country. And this is still Obama. I want to say more about this third issue because it generates the most passion and controversy. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who are dangerous. So, again, is the whole idea of dealing with the people who came here illegally, is that racist? It's not racist. It's common sense. It's common sense. And here you go, him saying the same thing. And he addresses the reality that some of them are dangerous. Now, it's unfair to characterize all illegal immigrants as dangerous, but at the same time, it's unfair or unrealistic to characterize them all as just blue-collar workers who just want to take care of their family. Some of them are criminals. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felonies, not families. Criminals, not children. Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. We'll prioritize, just like law enforcement does every day. So basically what he's saying is we're not, we're going to be humanitarian about it, and we're going to not just make a blanket statement or a blanket thing and just, punish every illegal immigrant. Some people who are entrenched, their families and their hardworking people, will look at them case by case. So, and literally, that's exactly the same thing Trump and the Republicans want to do. They don't want to automatically just kick out every single illegal immigrant. Now, there are going to be people who, because the system isn't perfect, it definitely is not going to be perfect in the future, and it's even less perfect now. It's not perfect. So you're going to have times when there are felons who somehow end up still staying here, and you're going to have good, hardworking people who get caught in that net, who get sent back, who may be actually a really good person. That's just the reality of the problem. But see, this is the thing. This is, there are consequences to actions. So maybe that person may not have done anything illegally, especially if they came here as a child. If they were like a child, a minor, and their parent brought them over the border illegally, technically they didn't do anything wrong. Their parents did. But doing things have consequences. Somebody needs to be accountable. If anything, if you don't take action against this type of thing, it does not discourage people from doing that. There was this, well, I'll just cross the border and I'll have my kids there, and then my kids could be citizens. I'll cross the border illegally. So it's still, if you don't take action, it encourages people to continue the illegal behavior. You have to do something about it. People can't just do what they want, and then it's like, that's like a guy that punches you in the face and then later on says, "Oh, come on, man, we're friends, or we're friends, or oh, that was yesterday." No, there's consequences. You can't just do what you want and then just expect nothing to happen. But even as we focus on deporting criminals, the fact is millions of immigrants in every state, of every race, and every nationality still live here illegally. And let's be honest, tracking down, rounding up, and deporting millions of people isn't realistic. Anyone who suggests otherwise isn't being straight with you. It's also not who we are as Americans. So you can argue that, okay, that's what Trump wants to do. Trump wants to hunt down every single illegal immigrant and deport them. You can argue that. I disagree with you. But I mean, if you want to believe that, then fine. That's your, you can go ahead with that. Either way, that is not a race issue. It's not a racism issue. It's a different way of handling a situation. Again, you may say it's cold-hearted. You may say it's ignorant or rude or disrespectful. You may say it's uncompassionate. That's not automatically a race issue. It's not automatically a race issue. After all, most of these immigrants have been here a long time. They work hard and tough, low-paying jobs. They support their families. They worship at our churches. Many of the kids are American-born or spent most of their lives here. And their hopes, dreams, and patriotism are just like ours. As my predecessor George Bush once put it, they are a part of American life. Now, here's the thing. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. We expect those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. So we're going to offer the following deal. If you have been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you register, pass a criminal background check, and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply to stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation. You can come out of the shadows and get right with the law. That's what the deal is. So Obama, he came up with this thing here. He came up with what he felt like, and what many people felt like was a really good solution. If you're not a criminal, you pass a background check. If you've been here for a while, you're kind of entrenched in, you got family, and you're willing to contribute the way that the citizens have to, then you'll be able to stay here temporarily. You can come out of the shadows and get right with the law. That's what the deal is. So now there's more to it than this, obviously, but I want to stop here because I want to highlight what he's saying, because the whole purpose of this video is immigration and law enforcement racist? Now, like Obama says here, like he says here, now here's the thing. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. We expect those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. So this is the thing. That is the whole big thing. Now, the thing is that Obama is emphasizing more. He's emphasizing compassion. He wants to do both, or he wanted to do both. He wanted to lay down a law, but he wanted to show compassion. And on the scale, he's leaning towards more of compassion. All right. So he's being less strict about it. Trump, on the other hand, it seems like maybe he wants to cast a wider net, and he's focusing more on the law enforcement rather than the compassion. In both cases, you're going to get both. You're going to get compassion and you're going to get law enforcement. It's just the focus or the emphasis is on one side with one person, and the emphasis is on the other side with the other person. Is that automatically racist? Like, the policy is not racist. It's just a different way of dealing with a problem. I skipped a few paragraphs because he starts talking about, the back and forth that happened in Washington or whatever. And it's a little bit off topic here. So again, I'll leave the link. You can read the full thing, or you can just watch the video because there's a video here. So I'm going to pick up right here. Americans are tired of gridlock. What our country needs right now is a common purpose, a higher purpose. Many Americans support the types of reforms I've talked about tonight, but I understand with the disagreements held by many of you at home. Millions of us, myself included, go back generations in this country with ancestors who put in the painstaking work to become citizens. So we don't like the notion anyone might get a free pass to American citizenship. So now he's not necessarily talking about the illegal immigrant part. He's talking about the idea of giving people a pathway to citizenship. It's important to acknowledge. And one thing I really like about this speech is that he's not so quick to go to the extreme. Oh, you just don't want this because you're racist. Oh, you just don't want this because you're evil. And he's going to actually address that mindset in a little bit. So we don't like the notion anyone might get a free pass to American citizenship. I know some worry immigration will change the very fabric of who we are, or take our jobs, or stick it to middle-class families at a time they already feel they've gotten a raw deal for over a decade. I hear these concerns, but that's not what these steps would do. Our history and the facts show that immigration, legal immigration, are a net plus to our economy and our society. And I believe it's important that all of us have this debate without impugning each other's character. See, like he says it himself, demonizing people who disagree with you just because they disagree with you on immigration, not only does it not do anything, it actually makes the problem worse, because then you're less likely to actually come to an agreement on the thing. But the problem here is it's usually not the Republicans who do that. It's the Democrats who do that. Oh, you're racist. Oh, you don't care. Or, oh, you just want to rip kids from their family. Like, Obama's like, you don't do that. You have this debate. You be civil and stop assuming that just because people don't believe the same thing that you do, that they're automatically an evil person. Now, if you watch Democrats and Republicans talk about this issue, who's doing that? Who's showing that kind of disgusting attitude that Obama is speaking against? All right, I'm going to skip a little bit more here. You can read it if you want. So again, here he's focusing on compassion. These people work for us, like right here. These people work for us. Why wouldn't we give them a chance? Now listen to this. This here again. Are we a nation that accepts the cruelty of ripping children from their parents' arms, or are we a nation that values families and works together to keep them together? So he's emphasizing again compassion and love. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's perfectly understandable, to be honest. Are we a nation that educates the world's best and brightest in our universities, only to send them home to create businesses in countries that compete against us? Or are we a nation that encourages them to stay and create jobs here, create businesses here, create industries here right in America? That's what this debate is all about. So what he's saying is, like, we're making an investment into these people, and these people are not going to go to other countries, and basically we don't get anything out of the deal. They're going to stay here and they're going to help us. They're going to contribute back to society. So skipping along here, Obama, he gives examples of kids being ripped away from their families because someone's being deported. He gives examples of a couple of people that he knew personally that were illegal immigrants, or that were immigrants rather, and how good of people they were. Like, so he's emphasizing, like, look, some of these are good people. They belong to be here. So this is where his bias or his focus shows, because he's emphasizing these people can help. These people are not, quote unquote, bad. We don't have to kick everyone out. What Trump is saying, and this is pretty much the end of the speech. I skipped some. I skipped some of it here, and this is the end. But what Trump is saying at this point is, we still have the problem of them getting in here. So that's where Trump's focus is at. It's they're getting here and then they're having anchor babies. And then because that baby is a citizen, they can bring even more. So Trump is still at the beginning stages of trying to solve the problem. Obama is saying, I have laid the foundation to solve the problem. Now we need to focus on the people who are here and helping them to contribute properly. Trump is saying, no, the problem is still freaking terrible. We need to deal with this problem. So that's really the big difference in their policy. You may argue it's compassion. Obama's more compassionate than Trump. Trump is more hardline. That doesn't automatically mean race. The whole point of me pulling up this speech by Obama. The whole point of me pulling this up is to show you that he said some of the very same things that Trump did. Overall, his view is different. His view is more positive and optimistic. But there are things that he said specifically that Trump has said, that Republicans have said, that other people who feel strongly against immigration have said. But you wouldn't call this man racist for saying it. And you may say, well, that's different because Trump says other stuff. Well, it doesn't matter if Trump is racist or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is the policy that they're trying to pass. Is the policy that they're trying to pass, is it a good policy or a bad policy? And is it a good policy or bad policy based on what's best for the country or not? That's what it boils down to. There's way too much feeling, not enough fact. And just looking at this speech, looking at this transcript from the speech from Obama, and again, you can watch this video, you can go to this website and you can watch it yourself. He basically literally said the same problems that Trump has mentioned, Obama has mentioned. However, Obama kind of thinks we've gotten past the problem and Trump doesn't. So that leads us right into the next part of this video I want to make. And again, the whole point of this video is saying, is Trump racist for his immigration policies? Are his immigration policies racist? Now, the reason why this is important is, you see the date right here. The speech that I was reading was from November of 2014. So a couple months later, you have this article posted in 2015. Over half the states are suing Obama for immigration actions. So the reason why this is important to the topic is I'm going to show you that it's not Trump just hates Mexicans, or Trump just this or that, or Trump just stirred up all the racists and now the people are afraid. Because this is January 2015. I don't even know if Trump has already announced him running, or I don't know. But at this point, he probably has. But at this point, you're going to see that it's not just a Trump thing. It's not just Trump making this up out of thin air. You can already see from Obama's speech that he already addressed some of the concerns that people had, saying some of the same stuff that Trump said. Now you're going to see here that it's not only is it not just Trump who has the same concerns, it's not even just Republicans. You're going to see some Democrats having a problem with the immigration thing. All right. So this is at Huffington Post. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And I don't know, this is kind of smaller. Let me see how long this is. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to read the beginning, and I'm going to read the states that are involved. More than half of the U.S. states are now involved in the lawsuit to stop President Barack Obama's executive action on immigration, with the addition of Nevada and Tennessee announced Monday by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The 26 states challenging Obama's actions are led by Texas, which filed its lawsuit in December. So Obama announced it in November, and in December, Texas filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit contends that Obama overstepped his constitutional authority in executive actions on immigration that may provide deportation relief and work authorization for up to 5 million people. Now, I remember this happening, but I didn't know anything about politics. And I just remember thinking, man, these darn Republicans, they're just fighting Obama every step of the way. And I remember being kind of mad about that. What I understand now is that exactly what that this last little paragraph just said. They're saying he didn't go through the proper channels. The proper channels were in place for, bills are supposed to go through the House of Representatives. It's supposed to go through the Senate. Then it goes to the president. It didn't make it out of the House of Representatives. It didn't even make it to the Senate. Obama said, look, you guys aren't going to do this, so I'm going to force it into law. Now, as a president, that's his right. And it went to court to determine whether or not it was actually constitutional or unconstitutional, because the president does have a right to do executive orders, but at the same time, he can't be a tyrant and just do whatever he wants. That's the way our government is set up. So that was a controversy. And my whole point here is you have 26 states. You have more than half of the country having an issue with this. And we're going to look at the states, and you're going to see that they're not all Republican states. So it's not even like, oh, it's just Republicans versus Democrat. Most of them are Republican, but not all of them. So we're going to check this out here. We're going to look at the 26 states involved in the lawsuit, and I'm just going to highlight out of the 26, 5 of them are Democratic. All right, so I'm going to pull up a map here, and I'm going to go back and forth so you can see it. Out of the 26 states, 21 of them are Republican states, and 5 of them are Democratic states. And the first state we're going to look at is these two, Maine and Michigan. This is a map here of how the states voted in the 2012 election. So, 2013, 2014, 2015, these are all the states that in 2015, when this article was written, these are the states that were kind of Democratic states and Republican states. So 2 of the states on the list, sorry for flipping back so much, the ones I skip are Republican. And the whole point of me not having to highlight those is because people assume it's just a Trump thing, it's just a Republican thing. And issues with immigration is not necessarily just a Republican thing, and it's not just a Trump thing. It has become probably more so because the Democrats label, if you have a problem with immigration, they label you as a racist. So people will withdraw from that. So let's take a look. You got Maine here. Maine's a Democratic state. They filed a lawsuit against Obama. And the same thing happened with Obamacare. A lot of people think Obamacare was just, it was just the Republicans or whatever. There were Democratic states who, at least in the beginning, there were Democratic states who had an issue with it. So here's Maine here, who's a blue state, who's on the lawsuit. Here's Michigan, who's a blue state, who's on the lawsuit against Obama, saying that what he did was unconstitutional. The next one's Florida. Florida is a blue state. Florida voted for Obama, but then they said, hey, on this issue, he overstepped his bounds. The next one after that will be Nevada. Nevada right here. Nevada is a Democratic state. And then the last one is Wisconsin. And here's Wisconsin right here. So you got Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Florida. You have 5 Democratic states who said, hey, I don't like what you're doing, allowing, basically your way of allowing all these illegal immigrants. It should not happen this way. So it's not just a Trump thing who felt strongly about the way that Obama did things. People are like, oh, he's trying to undo what Obama did. It's not just him. And it's not just Republicans. There's Democrats too. Now, I notice I'm kind of working backwards. I kind of started from today and I went backwards. But I'm going to go even further back than Obama. As you can see here, I'm looking at something from 2006. And the whole point is I'm going to show you that, again, the whole controversy about immigration is not just a Trump thing that he made up to get racists riled up or whatever. It's not even an issue that just happened with Obama, even though we saw that Obama said some of the same things regarding how important it is to secure the border, and Obama himself took efforts to secure the border. According to him, he made the border more secure than it's ever been in the history of the country. But nobody called him racist for doing that, because the policy is not racist. Now, we're going to even go all the way back to, and this is going to blow your mind. We're going to go back to 2006, and we're going to look at the Secure Fence Act of 2006. On October 26, 2006, U.S. President George W. Bush signed the Secure Fence Act of 2006 into law, stating, "This bill will help protect America. This bill will make our borders more secure. It is an important step towards immigration reform." So then you can actually read here on Wikipedia. You can actually go down and then read the dates and the details of it and that sort of thing. Why is this significant? The reason why I bring this up is because where do you see who voted to approve this? And I'm going to leave all these links, all of the links to everything I showed you, I'm going to leave in the description. So here's the same summary. This is a website that kind of tracks, like it tracks the votes, like the Senate votes and the House of Congress votes. So whenever a law is passed on a national level, you can go to this website and see who actually voted for it and who voted against it. Just as a side note, one thing that will be very interesting, if you go back and look at the votes for the Civil Rights Acts, all of the Civil Rights Acts, and see how the Democrats and how the Republicans voted, I guarantee you, if you're a person who doesn't know a lot about politics, you'll be surprised at who voted for and who voted against the civil rights. But I digress. That's a tangent. What we're going to do is we're going to look at here this Secure Fence Act, which was this was a bill to help protect the borders and to help stop the tide of illegal immigrants. We're going to look at the people who actually voted for this. As you can see here, just about all the Republicans voted for it. And, you know, a majority of Democrats voted for it as well. So overall, in 2006, Democrats and Republicans felt strongly that our border needed to be more secure. And then they passed the Secure Fence Act, which involved, you know, basically, you can read the details of it, but, you know, obviously, you know what a fence does. Keeps people in, keeps people out. Is that racist? Here you go, all the way back in 2006, you see Democratic senators voting for this. Is it racist? Is it just a Trump thing? And is it racist? It's not. And someone may say, well, we're not talking about it's racist. We're talking about Trump's racist. That's irrelevant. The policies, you need to be concerned about the policies, not his personal opinions. You need to focus on policies. It doesn't matter what his personal feelings are. What matters is the policies that he passes and how they affect you. Does these policies reflect racism or not? Or are they just simply good? Or are they just simply things that need to be discussed? Now, there are some specific names in here that I think y'all will find interesting. All right, so I'm going to go down to here, and you can see where all of the, what do you call it? All of the senators voted. And I'm going to highlight some names for you. So if you go down to, I'm out of order. So you go to Delaware. You have Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a senator of Delaware, and Joe Biden voted for the Secure Fence Act of 2006, meaning that he understood the danger and the problem that illegal immigration had on his country. Does that make him racist? Because if having a firm stance on illegal immigration makes you a racist, then you would have to call him a racist. Who else we got? Oh, Barack Obama. And that's not surprising because we just saw that when he became president, he went out of his way to try to secure the border. If increased border control is automatically racist, then you have to call Barack Obama a racist. Maybe it's not racist. It's just a common sense thing to do. We're going to look at a couple of others. Look at New York. Oh, who do you see here? You see Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer. Both of them voted for the Secure Fence Act of 2006. Both of them. Chuck Schumer is one of the loudest voices that you will hear calling the Republicans heartless, they don't care about immigrants, and they're racist, and Trump is a racist, and Hillary Clinton, they're all racist, and they want to deport all the immigrants because they're he doesn't like them. But when they were in a position to vote, when they were in a position as senators to vote, hey, do you want to improve? Okay, Chuck Schumer he's still a senator apparently. I believe he is. But they both voted for increased border security in the past. And this is what bothers me. This is not the only issue you'll see this with. You'll see this with other issues too. You'll have these Republicans, they'll vote one way, but then when it's time to run for office, they'll flip the switch. They'll flip the script and they'll say something totally different just to make the other person look bad. Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer, and if you watch the presidential debate, some of the earlier debates, this actually came up. At least with Hillary Clinton, it came up. Like, hey, back in the day, you actually voted for increased security at the border. Now you're speaking against it and calling it racist. So, I mean, these two are big. These two are big right here. So the question is, are they racist? Are they racist because they wanted to do the same thing that Trump wanted to do? They just maybe didn't have such strong language, but they voted to do the same thing. The only problem is what they did failed. So now Trump is coming along with something much more severe. You may say it's too severe. That's your right. I won't argue with you. But to automatically say that it's racist without looking at the facts, without looking at anything, but by looking at your feelings, or because you think the guy's a racist, therefore you're going to resist everything that he tries to do. How does that help the country? That doesn't help the country. It makes the country worse. Especially if you think he's a racist. If you think your president's a racist or your leader's a racist or whatever, the idea is not to oppose him on everything that he does to the point where you kind of don't even have a voice anymore because you're always negative that no one listens to you. What you want to do is when he is doing the right thing, you support it. When he's not doing the right thing, then you call it out. That's just common sense. But what you see is automatically, if it's something that Trump proposed, and the mainstream media has a lot to do with that, automatically you say it's racist. It's wrong. It should not be done. But the same people who are telling you that are hypocrites because in the past they voted for the very same exact thing. Jay Rockefeller. That's funny. These are the three I wanted you to see. Clinton, Schumer, and Obama. They all voted for that. Now, Obama's not a surprise again. But think about it. When you watch the Republicans, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else on here that's worth mentioning. We already know the reason why I'm not pointing at Democrats. We already know Democrats were for it. They're the ones Republicans are for it. You got Ted Kennedy and John Kerry. So, you know what? Now that I think about it, didn't John Kerry kind of have the slogan of like building a stronger America? But nobody called him racist for that. That's quite nationalist if you ask me. But, again, people don't go by facts. They go by how they feel. You have John Kerry and Ted Kennedy both voting for increased security along the borders. Yeah, but that's different. It's not a wall. Okay, they voted for a fence. Same thing. It's literally the same thing. So, just to sum it all up, it bothers me when people, there's a lot of people that hate Trump, but the stuff that they say, a lot of times is just stupid. You can dislike him for saying dumb stuff. Trump says stupid stuff all the time. You can dislike him for his personal life and for not being faithful to his wife and all that stuff. You can dislike him for whatever you want. But when you want to actually go and talk about policies, whether or not they're racist, you should actually know what you're talking about. Because again, the policies that he's implementing are literally the same policies that other people like Barack Obama, like Hillary Clinton, like Chuck Schumer, they have supported in the past. Now, I could have took that speech. I could have took like the first half of that speech that Obama gave, and shared it. I could have just shared it like, this is what Trump said, and highlighted certain quotes about, nobody should get a fair ride and people should follow the laws of the land, and you would call it racist. But it's coming from Obama. So wanting to solve the problem of illegal immigration is not only is it not racist, it's not a just Trump thing, and it's not just a Republican thing, because I showed you that Democrats were on board with it. There were Democratic states that had a problem with Barack Obama allowing what he allowed, and they wanted tougher immigration laws.